Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to talk about is if you're. This is especially for if you're new at watch collection or buying luxury watches. These are four what I call axioms. It sounds a little pretentious, uh, but these are four rules I think that will help you get what you want to get and not get taken advantage of. Now, the first axiom is know why you want to watch. Okay? Doesn't matter what the reason is, but you should really know why especially if you're paying a lot of money for a watch. The reason really isn't in a very fundamental way timekeeping. We have too many really good timekeeping things all over us that we're with all the time. For example, on my Fitbit here, I got a watch that says the time, but that's not why I got my Fitbit. I could use it for a lot of different things. On my iPhone, I have a watch. There's all kinds of things we have for timekeeping. If you have a smartwatch, it's another timekeeping. If you got a cheap quartz watch, here's one. They're a little Casio quartz, 1160 on Amazon, $11.60. It keeps very accurate time. Next to it is an FP Journe Chronomet Blue. Beautiful watch. It's a wonderful one. It's 25,000 bucks. There's a 5-year waiting list, and it keeps pretty good time. It's not as good as that little Casio, but it keeps pretty good time. So why would you get one over the other? Why would you wait 5 years, spend $25,000 if that was the main reason that you bought the watch? It wouldn't, okay? So, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. The first luxury watch I bought, I was going on a cruise. I wanted to have a nice watch just because I figured, well, that's what you do. All of these people going on cruises have nice watches. So I got a nice watch. And it doesn't, any reason is fine. But know what it is, all right? And don't fool yourself. All right. Okay, the second axiom is learn about luxury watches. If just assume you don't know jack, okay? It helps you. That's to help you. Just say, I know nothing. And, unless you grew up in a watchmaker, you don't. Use multiple sources of information. One of the biggest mistakes I think people make is that they go to one thing and say, I go to my AD, my authorized dealer. They're going to tell you what they can sell you. They're not going to tell you everything you need to know. It, that you want to go to a lot of different places. Online, you can find other videos like this. You can go to also online. You can join different watch groups. Find out about it. Okay. Let me give you an example here. Let's say that you hear that you've heard about the Omega Speedmaster that went to the moon. They refer to it as Omega Speedmaster Professional Moon Watch. Okay, and that's the one on the left, the 5350. It's a hand-wound watch. It has the chronograph functions to it. Okay, 5350. All right. But there's another one. You see, well, here's an Omega Speedmaster for 6250. What's the difference? Well, it turns out that there's a lot of differences. First of all, the one on the right is the one at 6250 is an automatic. The one on the left is hand wound. The one on the right has what's called a coaxial escapement. It's George Daniels' escapement. It's a very special escapement. One on the left doesn't. You may still want the one to wind up. I prefer hand-wound watches because I like to play with them. But you may want it for I just want a watch that keeps time and I don't have to think about it. And the one with an automatic, not necessarily that Speedmaster, but maybe another one, or maybe one that's called a Seamaster, or maybe another brand. Learn about them. If you don't spend the time learning about them, I don't think you're going to enjoy them as much, and you may end up with something you don't want. Okay, the third axiom is compare prices. Uh, it seems like, oh, well, I want to go to my AD. There's a guy down at the shop I know, and I'll go down there and buy my watches. You can do that if you want. You're going to most likely pay a lot if you do that, but not necessarily. There's some other caveats too. So let's take a look at it. Here's a simple example. Here's a watch. It's a nice watch. It's sort of you can use as an everyday office watch. It would probably even pass as a dress watch. It's called the Bulgari Octoroma. Okay, so you look at that, you see it, you say that's a nice watch. And if you go to the Bulgari site, they have it listed for $59.50. Okay, let's say that's within your range. The other hand, if you go to Joma Shop, which is one of the online stores, is $39.95. So you're thinking, wait a minute, why is one $2,000 less than the other? What's wrong? Well, probably nothing. Uh, Watch companies can't always sell everything they need, and so they pass it on their unsold stock to what's called the secondary market. You can find a lot of good buys there, a whole lot of good buys. All right, just shop around. Now they may not be there. Maybe go down to your AD, and he says, "Look, Joe, I got this watch. I can't. It's a really good watch. We're going to have to sell it at a deep discount because I don't want to use it as a doorstop." And give you a really good deal on it, and that's fine. That's fine. But the point is compare. That's all you got to do is compare, shop around, or maybe you find a really good price and you go down to your AD and you say, I found this online. I'd like to get it from you, but I can't. There's $2,000 difference. And then the AD says, "Look, okay, I'll give you a really good buy on it." That's all. Okay, not hard to do. Okay, so the next thing is learn about movements. This is the last axiom. Some watch companies aren't exactly forthcoming about what's in their movements. I'll give you some name. Here's an example. This is an IWC Pilot's Watch Mark. What is that? 18 edition Le Petit Prince. Great little watch. And it's got a 35-111 caliber. Well, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything to you, probably. But if you learn about it, you'll find out. If you go to, there's this online site called watchbase.com. If you go there, you go to IWC, you look at their movements, you'll find out that the 35-111 is a Sellita 300-1. Okay, what about that movement? Well, you better learn about movements, right? Maybe it's a really good one, maybe it's a crummy one, but if you don't know, you don't know. On the other hand, if you go to Zen, this is a German watch company. It makes really good watches. They got the same exact movement in there. It's called the Zen Pilot Watch 857. Okay. And it's $2,650. Well, that's $1,500 difference almost. It is $1,500. It's a lot of money. Why would you pay $1,500 more for, you're talking about two stainless steel watches, and maybe there's something about the Zen that you like even better, like it may have a movable bezel or something like that. But if you don't compare, you don't know. And people say, well, it must be better because it costs more. That's not necessarily true. All right. So so that's the final thing. I bought a watch. I paid way too much for it, and it had a cheap movement in it. I learned that lesson once. All right. And after that, always find out what's in my watch. So if you know what you're paying for, that's good. This is one example. This is a Maurice Lacroix. And it's got I bought the watch not because of it was Maurice Lacroix, but it had an interesting movement. So I liked the movement, and I found this watch and some other ones from different brands with the movement. But you got to know about movements in order to do that. You'll save money, a lot of money, if you learn about that. You're not going to get taken like I was. And the same thing with these other four rules. And going back to one, this should not be the only source of information. Check around with everybody you can to find out about watches. Okay, well, I'd like to hear from you. If you're a new collector, you got any questions, feel free to ask them. If you're an experienced collector, hey, I'd like to hear your tips too. What would you tell a new collector? So anyhow, now on Friday, we're having a collection review that you might want to see. I'm sorry, on Sunday, today's Friday, on Sunday, we're going to have our next collection review. And until then, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.